Welcome to another great week here on planet Earth. Actually, cold here in Wisconsin. First cold day of the year, and that's all right because as we talked about in this song, my brother Tyler says we laugh and smile when people shiver and shake when it's cold outside because that's how we do things here in Wisconsin. Another great week, and this week we're going to start things off as always with a moment of gratitude, and the whole episode is going to be about gratitude and being thankful for where we're at today. So this week I'm grateful for a man named Steve Robbins. Steve is a neighbor of mine. 10 years ago, I come home from Gitmo, and I was going through a divorce. 9 years ago, 2015. 9 years ago, I was coming home from Gitmo, going through a divorce, and my parents were flipping a house up in Jackson. I had seen the house before I had left, and I knew coming off that deployment, I was probably going to be going through a divorce and it's going to be a tough time for me. And so I moved up to Jackson for a year. The plan was move up to Jackson for a year. It turned into 7 because life. And along the way, there's a neighbor. He's a Vietnam vet. His name's Steve Robbins. And he has about 40 acres. I had 1 acre. He had 40. Has. And he wanted deer gone. And I like deer hunting. So for the last 10 years, 9 years, this is my 10th year now, he's allowed me to hunt on his land. And I'm very grateful for that because that first year or two, as I was going through my divorce, I was going through being a single father, struggling with PTSD. I live with it now. At the time, I was really struggling with PTSD, coming off Gitmo, rethinking things that happened in Iraq. And it was hours and days spent in the woods, staring at cornfields, staring at trees, staring at the marsh grass that really allowed me to recalibrate my brain and what was important to me. And so those first couple of years was really a reset time in my life. I started my business and a lot of good things happened those first couple of years and really revolved around hunting. And this is that time of year where I hunt. I was talking to Taylor, our producer in the show, and he said their family's gone 11 years without getting a deer until this year. They finally broke their streak because they hunt on public land. And I've been very fortunate that someone like Steve allows me to hunt on his parcel, 40 acres, and I'm the only one that hunts it, me and mine. So my family and my friends that I bring on. And so having that access and opportunity to do something I love doing from a fellow veteran, we've talked about PTSD, we talked about what it was like for him to come home from Vietnam. And so we have that bond, and where he doesn't hunt and his wife doesn't hunt, they want the deer gone, right? And we like to eat the deer, right? It's a very symbiotic relationship, even though we don't agree, or not really to agree, although we're not like-minded in the sense that he doesn't hunt and these things. We are like-hearted in that we are there for each other and we understand the therapeutic benefits of doing what you're passionate about. Very thankful for Steve allowing me to hunt. And on Saturday, I'm very thankful I was able to harvest 2 deer. So I harvested 2 does Saturday afternoon, opening day. And so meat in the freezer, it's something my daughter and I enjoy. I love when I have people over, rarely. I entertain people very rarely throughout the year. I almost always cook them venison because it's a treat. So very thankful for Steve for giving me the opportunity all these years to hunt on his land. Second thing, got to pay the bills. We get to pay the bills. I've been booking up speaking gigs, so I'm really excited about that. I booked 3 gigs in the last week and a half here, 1 local and 2 traveling. That's simple. For people that want inspiration, motivation, education, the language of leaders is the key. It's a workshop I do. It's up to 8 hours of workshop. Typically, I do a 4-hour workshop. I can also customize it. So I'm doing one for a group here in February. I'm customizing it. I'm making more of a keynote, first thing in the morning, inspirational, on top of being educational and motivational, really inspiring people within the trenches of this organization to be leaders in every position. All companies need some level of education and inspiration and motivation, and this is the opportunity to invest in your people. Reach out to me and see where I can help and support you, where I can support you and your organization, getting the most out of people by addressing the language they use within their heads. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show today, where we're going to talk about hunting and the good stuff. And yes, that is on brand and on theme, that this is the most magical time of the year. Thanksgiving week is my favorite week of the year. Starts off with opening day on Saturday all the way through the last day of the season on Sunday. And in between, we got Thanksgiving, we got football. I went to the Packer game. On Sunday, I'm going to the next Packer game. On Thursday, I'm taking my daughter to her first Packer game. So I have a lot to be thankful for and a lot to be excited for this year, as I always do. Here's the deal. Today is the November 26th. When this episode comes out, for all the non-live listeners, it will be December 4th. Today, we are 5 weeks away from New Year's Eve. When this episode comes out, we are 4 weeks away from New Year's Day. And if you remember, for those people that listen to my shows often, if you remember, 11 months ago, I stood here and said, I sat here, I was sitting at a desk at the time, but I sat here and I said, New Year, same you. And that's the reality. New Year's Day is one more day of the 365 we count every year. And there's all these people that have New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to change my life, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And they fail, and they fail, and they fail over again. Because new year, same you. This is the opportunity you have. Now is the opportunity you have to start reflecting on this past year. What are you thankful for? What harvest, what bounty do you have that you're excited for? What served you this past year? What did not serve you this past year? Right now is your opportunity. You have 5 weeks from today, 4 weeks from when this comes out, to start overriding your subconscious that focuses on negativity, your subconscious that focuses on scarcity. You have the opportunity right now to implant all the things you're grateful for. And I looked it up earlier today, the benefits of gratitude, the benefits of having a daily practice, the benefits of focusing on the good stuff, or as I'll talk about later, hunting the good stuff. You got an improved mood, better sleep, reduce stress, improve relationships, increase self-esteem, better physical health, increase well-being, improve performance, increase pro-social behavior, I'm going to be better out with people, and increased dopamine and serotonin. I often talk about dopamine, right? That's the no shit chemical composition, goes in your brain. You have a choice when you reflect back on things that happen for you. When you anticipate things that you get to do, you're slowly dripping that serotonin, which changes the chemicals and the hormones in your body. And you start reflecting and you start thinking about things in a more grateful kind of way. And so this year, that's the goal. You got 4 weeks right now to focus on this last year. What things made you great? Dan Sullivan talks about your unique ability, and 10x is easier than 2x. I'm rereading the book Traction right now, and they lean in on that. Your unique ability. What makes you great? What is your unique ability? Les Brown talks about the greatness within you. My mom will tell you, having faith in your fate, right? Your destiny. Mark Twain talks about that, right? The 2 most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why. That destiny. Forrest Gump, right? Your destiny. Forrest's mom always talked about your destiny, Forrest, right? You get to decide what that is. You get this opportunity to reflect back, because reflection is the first step. Awareness is the second step. Regulation is the third step. The challenge right now is to take the next 4 or 5 weeks to reflect back on this year. What is your goal? What actions, activities, and behaviors got you closer to that goal? And for those people, 83% of people in the United States, 83% do not have goals written down, or do not have goals at all. Of the 17%, 3% write them down. That means 14% of people have goals they do not write down. And yes, there's study after study, you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals when you write them down. We've talked about this for weeks. So for the people that are in the 83% don't have goals, get yourself some goals for next year. Write them down now. Look back at this year. What did you do that got you closer to these goals? For the people that are in that 14% category that have goals and have not written them down, put them on paper. Look at them every day. Get yourself a vision board. Pre-plant in your brain what it is you want. And that way in life, when you start going out there, you can very simply see when your decisions are actively pursuing that goal and when those decisions are inconsistent. Right over there on my board, I have my wants, right? And they're my wants. They're not my needs. They're not things I desire. There are the things I admire from other people. They're the things I desire. Those are the things I want in this world. I don't tell anybody about them. I look at them every day and I say, okay, is what I'm doing today consistent with that? And it is. Right now here, right? One of my wants is speaking. And I have a very clear goal over there. And every time I come on this show and I give of myself, I'm speaking. Today, later this afternoon, the reason why we're doing the show in the morning is because I'm going down to Chicago to pick up my daughter, which is a beautiful day. It's Penny Day. I get so many Penny Days a year, and they're my favorite day of the month. It's Penny Day. And so today, I could look back and say, you know what? I'm not going to do the podcast. No big deal. It's a holiday week. Everyone's got a short week. I got a lot of shit to do. No. I focus on what I want in this world and how do I get there. And coming on this show every single week is what I want. I did the same thing last week. And there's a couple of weeks coming up here soon that I'm going to do the shows in the morning because it's more convenient for my schedule. And I might move the show in the morning. The key is I do the show every single week because it's consistent with what I want. And I have it written down and I look at it. Because I want to be part of those 3% of people, those top 3% of people that have a goal, that write it down and that look at it every single day. Because there are times I fuck up. There are times I do things inconsistent with my goals. There are times I have thoughts that are inconsistent with my unique ability. That is the truth. Was it last week? Last week? There was a day I did not do my, it was Saturday morning. I did not do my push-ups. I know I didn't do my push-ups. I got up really early to go deer hunting, all these, didn't do my push-ups, right? Even though my goal is to do my push-ups and my plank every single morning. And so you know what? I didn't beat myself up about it. Sunday, I got back on the horse. Sunday, I went back to doing my push-ups. And I've done my push-ups every day, all 3 days now since then, because I failed. And again, it's a very simple example. And yet, in my past, I easily been like, I didn't do it yesterday. I guess I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I'm reading a book right now. It took me 6 weeks. My goal is to read at least a book a month. It took me 6 weeks to read my last book. It was a heavy book. I took it in. I just a very highly digestible book. And it took me 6 weeks. Okay, so I finished it. So now I read my next book. And my goal is to have that book done. So when I get that book done, I'm going to read the next book. The goal was 3 books. Starting October 1st was to 3 books by the end of the year. Okay, so I make adjustments along the way. When I fail, I look back at the goal. Am I still on track? And if not, what do I need? Or when not, what do I need to do different? Because I have the goal in mind. And as I reflect back, I'm thankful for all the books that I read this year. I'm thankful for all the times that I leaned in and did my PT, my physical training, leaned in and went to the gym, leaned in and went to the beach and played volleyball, leaned in and did my push-ups in the morning. And I celebrate those. I get that dopamine because I'm grateful for the time I've taken. For you, this week, take the time to reflect. What are you grateful for? Maybe about a half a dozen episodes, I talked about greatness, right? When you are grateful, who you are grateful around, because they bring out your greatness, your unique ability. Who are the people that bring out the best in you? What are the activities that bring out the best in you? What are the things you do that get you closer to your goal? And for everything else, it's all noise. For the people that want you to stay stuck in your past, let them be in your past. For the actions and activities that are inconsistent with where you are going, stop doing them. I talk about start, stop, continue methodology of change. Stop is the best one there is. I stopped drinking alcohol almost 2 years ago. I was talking to someone this last week and they're like, oh, I'm a little hungover, went a little hard. They're like, oh yeah, I hate that hangover the next day. I go, cool, I choose not to drink. And since I decided to choose not to drink, it's no longer even on my radar. Something that serves me. Because I know drinking, for example, chemically creates more cortisol, creates more stress, worse sleep, not good physically, extra calories at 40 years old. I ought not to have any more extra calories. I eat plenty of cheese for two or three people. I don't need more calories. And so I choose not to drink. I choose not to smoke. I choose not to do a lot of things that I used to do in my life that did not serve me. Because they don't get me closer to what's over there on that board. They don't get me closer to the person I want to become. I said earlier this year, as I reflect back on all the things I've said and all the things I've done, even in my book, I'll say in my book I was wrong. I talk about how your needs are greater than your wants. And what I've realized now, reading more books and researching more and digging more into my life, my wants are more important than my needs. Because my list of needs is very small. And once I have those needs, I can focus on the things I want. I can focus on the 4 freedoms, the freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, freedom of purpose, because I want certain things. And when I focus on my want, I often take care of my needs because now I'm focused on what's next. And when I focus on my wants, I focus on what I want only because I want it. I no longer have to justify what I want to others. That's why that word just is a shit word, because it's a justification. No, say what you want and do things that are consistent with what you want. They're your goals. You have but this one life to figure it out. And so today I was reflecting back on when this journey started. And this journey started 10 years ago. In September of 2014, I attended mass resiliency training. I was talking about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People yesterday with Chris, one of the guys here at work. And I read that book maybe 15 years ago. It was 2009, 2010-ish. I read that book. That was the first point of self-improvement, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I talk about Stephen Covey all the time. Very impactful. And then 5 years later in 2014, I attended mass resiliency training. That's when I went from not only improving myself, but how do I improve others? And so I was reflecting back on master resiliency training. Actually, I found an old picture of me from 10 years ago at the school. I found that this morning. And I was also reflecting on one of the exercises that we teach students. It's an exercise developed by the University of Pennsylvania. It's implemented by the U.S. Army. And this is something we teach students and soldiers on how to find the things that make them great. So this is it. Every day, simple reflection. You can do this in the morning. You can do this midday. You can do this at night. You can do it at all 3 times. Very simply, these are the 4 questions you ask yourself. And you can ask the same question 3 times, right? The whole goal is to ask, there's 4 questions. And you get 3 things that you break down. It's very simple. It's called hunting the good stuff. Again, we're on brand. We're on theme with deer hunting being the most magical time of the year. Find good in every day and reflect on it. That's what I talk about here, reflecting. Often with reflection, when you give yourself this abstract time, whether it's meditation or reflection, your brain will start going where it wants to go. This is your opportunity to take control, and you decide where your brain goes. You decide to put the input in, ask the question. The answer lies within you. The opportunity is to ask yourself the right questions to get your brain creatively generating those answers. So here are the 4 questions. Take time to reflect on each day and think about the things that happen throughout the day. What does this good thing mean to me? So what was good and what does it mean to you? Second, why did this good thing happen? What did you do prior to allow this great thing to come into your life? What can I do tomorrow to enable more of this good thing? Something good happened. You acknowledge it was good. Why it was good. What did you do to contribute? And how can you do that same thing tomorrow? And finally, how did others contribute to this good thing? Answer that question. Who is it around you that helps you, supports you be great? Who supports your unique ability? Who pushes you to becoming the person that you want to be, not the person that you are? And then, like I talk about, write it down. Keep a gratitude journal. Write these things down. Last 2 weeks ago, I was at a speaking gig in Kentucky, and someone asked me, is there a difference between writing something down and typing it on a computer? And I thought, no one's ever asked me that question. So then I looked it up. I looked it up over the last week about the difference between writing it down versus typing. And yes, both are good. Writing it down is better. Because when you're between your brain and your hand writing and thinking about every individual letter and how you're going to write the letter and visualizing it come to life on paper, there's more benefit to writing things down than typing. Now, typing is good. Typing is better than not putting it down on paper. And yet writing it down is the key. Because what you'll start doing is you'll start focusing on the good stuff throughout the day. When you say, okay, I know I'm going to hunt the good stuff at the end of my day. Throughout the day, you're going to start processing and thinking about and reflecting in real time what you want to hunt later in the day. And no different than looking for a red car. Once you have a red car, you're going to start looking for a red car. Do this practice over the next 4 or 5 weeks between now and the end of the year. And as you're doing it, think about that question, that third question. What can I do tomorrow to enable more of this good thing? What do I have control over? What words do I put in my brain that transform into thoughts, and those thoughts turn into actions, and those actions turn into habits, and those habits turn into your destiny? You have a choice, ladies and gentlemen. You have a choice to decide who you're going to be tomorrow. That gives you the opportunity every day to reinvent yourself, recreate the best parts of you every single day. There's a documentary I'm watching. I've watched in the past, I'm watching it again. And it's The Saint of Second Chances. And it talks about this guy who did baseball. And he said the reason why he loves baseball is because after 9 innings, you clearly know who won, who lost, and you get another 9 innings tomorrow. So the Saint of Second Chances. Maybe that's what I said. Saint of Second Chances, right? I love this guy. I love that adage. Every day you get a chance to reflect back and say, was it a win? Was it a loss? And what am I going to do about tomorrow? And then lace them back up tomorrow. Take the things you did great yesterday and do a little bit more of it today. Take the things that you didn't do great yesterday and do not do them again. When you do this, you can start now focusing on the holidays. You can start focusing on Christmas. You can start focusing on family. You can start focusing on New Year's and who do you want to become next year, because you're going to take the next couple of weeks to implant what makes you great. When you focus on gratitude, you become great. When you surround yourself with people that you're grateful for, it's because they help you and support you, make you great. Use the next 4 to 5 weeks to input the data so that When the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve and you wake up New Year's Day, you can truly have a new year, new you, because you've input new data, and you've already decided what actions, activities, and behaviors you want to exhibit in the new year. I'm thankful for everybody that joins me here every week. I'm thankful for those that reach out to me throughout the week and throughout the month with things they read on my blog, things that they heard me say. Give me opportunities to speak. The speaking opportunities I have coming up are from this podcast here, from this live show we do here every week. So I am eternally grateful for everybody that supports me throughout the year. Thank you. And my ask is always the same thing. Get out there. Do the fucking thing. Do your reflections. Tell the fucking world. Write it down. Celebrate the simple victories along the way. And finally, show the fuck up. You know who you are. Show up is that unapologetic individual who is authentic, who leans on his and her unique abilities. Do that, and you'll live a righteous and grateful life. We'll see you next week.